Well, Happy New Year and welcome to 10 with Tom. Today, our 10 with Tom edition is for the birds, and hopefully for you too. That's right, we're talking about birds today. And you know what? Birds are something that I have loved for a long time. Um, and probably it has to do with my affinity for sports teams who have to do with the birds. The Philadelphia Eagles, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Boston College Eagles hockey team, um, and even locally, our University of North Florida Ospreys. Swoop! All right. So today, as we talk about birds, there's a reason for it. Not just because I think birds are cool and I like birds, but did you know that today is National Bird Day? That's right. It's National Bird Day, January the 5th. And National Bird Day was created back in 2003 as a day to celebrate and to reflect on what we can learn from our fine feathered friends. Now, if you would like, you can get a book about your birds at a local bookstore or a library and try to identify all the different types of birds that fly into your backyard. Sometimes we see a great variety of birds at the church making a nest in some of the trees around our campus. We've seen bald eagles, we've seen a lot of owls, of course, a ton of crows. And we often laugh about the turkey vultures that some Sunday afternoons are circling around the building, and we start wondering, okay, which one of us is going to be sacrificed to the birds tonight as the turkey vultures circle. But we see them all around, and if you're trying to identify them, there's ways to look them up. You can also check out some interesting websites about birds. There's lots of them out there. But did you know that you can learn an awful lot about birds? And you can also learn from birds just by reading the Bible. Now, there are more than 50 different references to birds in the Bible, and more than 34 different types of birds are mentioned in the Bible. The Bible tells us in Psalm 148 that God created birds for his own glory, and that he provides them with food and shelter. We read that in Psalm 104. We see in Psalm 50 that all of the birds of the world belong to God our Creator. In the Song of Solomon, we see that God created birds to sing. And boy, isn't it nice and comforting when you hear the birds singing in the morning. He also created them so that they could soar, as we see in Isaiah 40 and also in Hosea chapter 11, and to be tamed. James chapter 3 tells us about that. Birds are also a source of food. We see that in Genesis chapter 9. And they provide a source of wisdom. We see that in the book of Job. And on one special occasion, great story, birds provided airborne meals for God's prophet Elijah. Some really cool stuff about birds. But the most important lesson that we can learn from birds is about how much God cares. So let's take a look at that today here on 10 with Tom. We are in Matthew chapter 10, and we are reading from verse 29 to verse 31, which says this: Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from the will of your Father. And even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. And you certainly are. And God knows every detail about those sparrows, about all those birds that you see. And he loves you even more. And he knows so much more about you. All right? So, as we read those words, we learn that God knows even when just one sparrow falls to the ground. Now, think of all the birds in the world, even the ones that you see in your backyard. God cares specifically and tenderly for each one of them. So, why is that important to know? Because as we read in verse 31, Jesus said, so don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. So if God cares so much for just one little sparrow, imagine how much more he cares for you. So keep that in mind as you go through today. You know, last Thanksgiving, Deb and I were traveling, and we were looking for a place to grab some lunch on Thanksgiving Day, and we ended up at a Metro Diner in Venice, Florida. And we noticed all the staff had matching T-shirts. And so when I got a better look at them, it had a turkey in the middle of the T-shirt, which was appropriate for Thanksgiving. And around the edge, it said, Thanksgiving 2020. This year's been for the birds. And boy, I think we can all agree with that. 2020 was such a rough year for so many people. And yet, God cared for us through that journey of making it through the year 2020. And now we're in a new year. There's new opportunities, there's new things we're going to be able to see God do. And as we go through the new year, I was reminded just the fact that God cares for birds. I was sitting in the Columbus airport last Saturday, and we were waiting at the gate for our plane to come in. It was running a little bit late, and I noticed an unusual sound. It was almost like a chirping sound right by the gate. I thought, well, that's kind of odd. And then I looked over, and there was a tiny little bird, and it was just walking around the gate area. I'm like, well, that's kind of crazy. And then I watched it as it kind of went behind our seat, and I thought, oh, I got to get a picture of this. And of course I didn't, because my camera was buried. Well, it kept moving around. The next thing I know, I see it sitting on a windowsill. And in the background is the big jetway for Southwest, and I thought, oh, that'd be a great picture. So I started digging through. I get the camera out, and I look up, and the bird's gone. And then I looked, and the bird was, if you've ever flown on Southwest, you know how they divide the people into groups, and they got the things that you stand beside. It tells you which number you are and so on. And I look, and the bird was sitting there on top of that, just waiting for his number to be called. And I'm like, okay, God, you're taking care of the birds. You've got us in 2021. We're going to make that. And that was before I even knew that National Bird Day was coming right up. So, cool little story. But another thing that happens at the beginning of New Year is that a lot of people make resolutions, things they want to try and do. And so Sunday night at youth group, we were talking a little bit about resolutions. And not everybody makes them. Some people do. But you can make a resolution. You can make a change in your life at any point. You don't have to wait until New Year's. And if you're one of those people who you've already exhausted your New Year's resolution and it's gone, you don't have to wait till next January. You can start a new resolution today. You could start it on Monday. You can start it at the end of January. You can start it any time you want. But I encourage you to work today to do something that's going to make your life better. Here were some of the resolutions that people wrote down the other night. There's some good ones. To be more positive. To do something cool. I don't know how you define that, but obviously they got something in mind. So do something cool. To drink water only. Get rid of the sodas and all that. A healthy one. Somebody wrote to gain weight. Okay, some people have trouble doing that. Not me. I'd be glad to give them some of mine. Some people want to go to the gym 2 times a week. That's a great way to get going. Get out there, get exercise. A few people wrote nothing. They're just not motivated by resolutions, but they got things going on in their lives that are good and positive. Some people said they want to stop sinning as much. That's a great way to start. Make an attitude. Let God check you. Let the Holy Spirit guide you as you go through this year. Here's one: to be a better brother. To be a better sibling. To eat more healthy. To have a better attitude. To not let your mood on a given day affect your behavior. And to slowly change your eating habits. Those are all good things. And so if you've made one of those plans, let somebody know about it. Help them hold you accountable. Help them partner with you as you go through that. And you can make this year the best one yet. Also want to thank our Boy Scout troop. What a great job. One of our Eagle Scout candidates redid the Gaga pit. It's absolutely gorgeous. Some of the youth were in there Sunday night enjoying it. So thanks to our Boy Scout troop, and look forward to using that again. We want to remind everybody we've got Refresh coming up tomorrow night, and we've got a game night, 6:30 to 9 on Friday. So we hope you'll join us for that. So things are back and rolling. Confirmation class orientation is this Sunday, so if you're thinking about confirmation and joining the church, we encourage you to be a part of that Sunday morning, 10 a.m. for orientation. So lots of good things happening as we begin a new year. This year's not going to be for the birds. This year is going to be for the Lord. Have a great day. I love you guys.